I hope you're ready for a big episode today because we are going to finish the exterior of the palace. I'm really excited for it. Let's get this horse hooked up. Now, I just finished. We're basically picking up pretty much where I left off at the end of the last episode. All that I've done in between episodes is, well, I lit up this area down here because it was turning into a bit of a mob trap. I guess I missed a spot, but that's okay. I basically just moved all of the materials that I'm going to need to finish the exterior over to this site. So I moved them over from the village. And it's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to lie. I think I have... I mean, this is probably combined like 8 shulkers of, various materials that we're going to need to finish this out. There's a big piece left. I mean, it's not a small piece, but I'm not knocking on what we've done so far. We've done a lot. We've made a lot of progress, but it's going to take a few days to get this last piece installed. So I want to get right to work on this. I want to just jump right into the time lapse and show you guys kind of the progress and just allow you to kind of visualize what's happening as I build it. It's going to be great. So without further ado, let's jump into the next big piece of this build. I hope you enjoy it. See you in a bit. So I just finished chatting with my villagers and I picked up the 3 bells that I'm going to need for the finishing touches on the palace, or, the exterior at least. So these are going to go right at the very top of the structure. I'll show you what it looks like when I put them in. But I actually have not seen it yet from a distance. So I took a look at it kind of from up close and walked around a little bit just after I wrapped it up. But I haven't seen it from this perspective. So I want to share with you guys what it looks like. I really think it's going to look pretty great. So let's get a little bit closer. Watch it kind of render in slowly here. Oh, wow. Okay, so there it goes. Here, let's get around this house. Wow, look at that. That is tall. Didn't realize how tall it was until you see it from this far away. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, the noisy villagers. Look at that. What a beauty. That really is a stunning build. I'm really pleased with it. Let's have a sleep really quick. Oh, no. Okay, let's have a sleep in about 10 seconds. That is amazing. So I think the top Y value up there is like Y equals 177. So I think the whole thing is probably about 80 blocks tall, which is not short. It's definitely not short. These people really should do something about their flooding problem. Because I'm certainly not going to be doing anything about it anytime soon. Anyway, let's get a little bit closer here and take a look up close. So we've got a little bit of a closer look from this angle. You can kind of see up there the crimson wood. So a couple episodes ago, I was talking about how this is the first build I've ever done that uses all 8 wood variants. So from the acacia to the birch to the oak, which is up there kind of on the edge, the dark oak, spruce and the floorboards, the kind of the magenta colored crimson logs, all the way over to the sort of cyan colored what are those? They're not twisted, are they? No, those are the vines. I forget what those are called. Warped logs. There we go. Anyway, so we have all 8 wood variants in the game in this build, and I think it looks stunning. I mean, this is probably the most colorful castle I've ever seen. Now, some of you who have kind of a keen eye or are just sort of more familiar with like European architecture might actually recognize this. So this is an original design in Minecraft, but it is... Let me get a fence post really quick. But it's based on a castle in Portugal. I think the the name of it is the Penna Castle, and it's just a pretty close interpretation of that build here. And when I was looking for inspiration, when I was looking for reference pieces, that castle really stood out. If I remember, I'll put a picture of it on the screen. But that castle really stood out to me as it was kind of striking against the landscape of European architecture in its use of color in particular, in the way that it's just very vibrant and very unique. So this is actually based on that. I designed this as kind of an interpretation or a rendition of that in Minecraft. But let's kind of check out the interior here. So we've seen a lot of this interior in the past couple of episodes, so I'm not going to show you that again. I'll just show you the new area, which is this back piece here and then the spire. So I'll show you the tower last, but this is kind of where the main part of the base is going to be. This is the main part of the building, and it's really spacious here. So there's a lot of square footage, and on top of that, not only is there a lot of square footage, but there's 3 floors that are just like this. I mean, this is tons and tons of space. We're not going to be lacking, we're not going to be wanting any room anytime soon. And this is the top floor. So this is probably my favorite part of the build. It's very bright up here, and I chose this stained glass to sort of mimic, I guess stained glass. I guess there's no better word for it. And I really like the effect of this room. It's very bright. It's very open. Probably have, a great view of the kind of south village in that direction, and maybe even the ocean over here. I don't think you can quite see to the ocean unless I increase my render distance, but yeah, my point still stands. It's very bright in here, very colorful, and this I think is going to be one of the sort of central rooms of the overall base. So if we come downstairs, we can see what is probably my favorite view. Now, this is my favorite room in the base up there, but my favorite view in the base is in here. So this is the tower, which of course we saw on the exterior. And if we look up, it is a stunning view. So you can really see the kind of gradient transition from the darker red tones all the way through the kind of purple and magenta tones, almost into some blue tones towards the top, especially when it comes to the glass colors, which are also kind of simultaneously transitioning through their own. Gradient is kind of a big word because there's a lot of colors. It's not quite a gradient with the glass. Definitely a gradient with the blocks on the outside of the glass, but the glass itself isn't quite a gradient. It's more just sort of a mixture of colors, creating a sort of feast for the eyes. I really love this view because it's just so colorful, and it's not, especially it being on a diagonal, I think really increases the effect, and it increases the sort of visual feast for the eyes that is up here. So anyway, well, we came here with a goal. We have some homework to do. We need to install these 3 bells. So I'm going to go up to the top, and we're going to take care of that. Okay, I got some blocks and I pillared up here. It is a lofty peak, that's for sure. We're quite high up. So let's get rid of these and install the bells. This is the, I think, quite appropriate finishing touch on the whole build. Maybe I can come down here. No? Okay, one more. There we go. All right, let's replace these. Perfect. And it is finally complete. So I think this whole build took me, I want to say like 5 days, maybe closer to 6 days. So actually I can probably count. So it took me 1 day for this dome, and then it took me 1 day for the blue part, a 3rd day for this kind of front piece, and then a 4th day for the first half of this back area, and finally a 5th day for the peak, or the tower, and also the kind of roof in the second half of that area. So overall, this has been a 5-day build, which is a lot, actually. I mean, I think this came together pretty quickly, if I'm honest with you. If you had asked me how long I thought it would take, I probably would have said it would take over a week. So I got this together pretty quickly, and I'm really surprised by that because, I didn't have a lot of the creature comforts, right? I didn't have elytra to save me when I fall, and shulker boxes to move a lot of stuff around. I did a lot of this kind of the old-fashioned way, and I was able to make pretty quick work of it. Let me find some. Here we go, some dark oak slabs. So I'm really pleased by it. I think it's turned out really great, and I can't wait to start working on the interior. But, unfortunately, before I start working on the interior, I have to finish the exterior. So, now, of course, everything that you see here is kind of the completed version of what I did in my creative test world. And I didn't, obviously I didn't design everything in my creative test world because it's, if you really design something, in a way, if you over design something in creative, it can be unnecessarily complicated, or I don't know. I have a feeling that like it takes up a lot of time when you design really minute details in creative and you try to reproduce those block by block in survival. What I try to do when I'm designing builds is just kind of get the walls and the floors designed in creative, and then the rest of that stuff, that really kind of small details when it comes to interior design especially, I'll do those in survival. And that's going to be my plan for this build, of course. So, but interior aside, like I was saying, I do need to finish the exterior. So we are just kind of sitting in the air. And before I start terraforming, what I want to do next, actually, probably in this video, is start working on kind of a stone porch that's going to sit here right at the level of this build and kind of wrap it around almost 360 degrees, kind of all the way around the build. That'll give you something to stand on instead of having, obviously, this wonderful, not at all an eyesore of a staircase that I've been using to get in and out of the build. So I just want to wrap it around in kind of a porch, if you will, or just some walkways that we can use to get around. And I don't actually have a plan for it. I'd like to say that I've designed those ahead of time, but I haven't. I have an idea in my head of how I want them to look. I know I want to do kind of a simple checkerboard design using stone and andesite. I think that's going to look pretty good for this. Stone bricks and andesite. Nothing complicated. And just kind of wrap that around. So I'm going to start working on that. So I've been really busy working on the front of the palace. Check it out. So I've been making a lot of progress here. I decided to go with kind of a calcite, diorite, down to cobblestone type gradient. I think it turned out pretty good. So my plan will be to actually bring this palette all the way around the other side of the palace. So kind of giving this hill a very distinctive, almost marble-like appearance. So I really want to bring that into the terraforming that I do on the other side of the palace. But for now, this is a start. And I'm not too worried about finishing the terraforming just yet. We're going to have plenty of time to do that in future episodes. Just for the purpose of this episode, which unfortunately we're going to be wrapping up here pretty soon, I'm feeling pretty pleased with the progress I've made. I mean, this probably took, I want to say, about 4 hours over a couple of days, and I think it's in really good shape. So let me saddle this horse over here, and I'm going to show you around. Okay, so taking a look up close, I decided to go with kind of a terraced approach. I have kind of a walkway that leads right up to the porch of the palace here, and I decided to go with a flooring that is a mixture of stone, brick, and andesite. Pretty simple, I think, pretty catching to the eye. I may do some additional detailing here on the pavement, but for now I think this is a really good start. And then as you go down, you can kind of go to this sort of second layer here, the second level that kind of crosses or spans the whole front of the palace. And of course, this is a bit of a dead end down here because I have to figure out how I'm going to wrap it around. But I think this looks really nice. It's nice and cozy. It's not particularly too wide, but you can still kind of comfortably navigate the whole thing. And then, of course, it kind of continues down here. Then, of course, I've got kind of a more rustic vibe for this lower level. So rather than copying this more stone brick and kind of more, I don't know, kind of permanent or kind of stone feeling, more infrastructural type approach. I went with something a little bit more rustic because I want this to feel a lot closer to the ground. Now, if we take a look from the ground level close by, you can see I did a little bit of terraforming here around the edges. I just basically brought this down with a little bit of stone, and then I sort of blended that with some grass blocks. Not a ton of detail down here, just kind of the essentials, because I want it to kind of fit into the landscape and also be accessible. So I guess what you could say is this is a partial solution to the floating palace problem. Of course, as we saw kind of earlier in the episode, this whole thing, especially this side over here to the west, is really just floating. And this is a start to fixing that problem. This is a start to really integrating it into the landscape. And it's going to take at least one, if not, 2 or 3 episodes on their own to really finish and work on the terraforming and bring some detail and some life to this build. And I'm really pleased with the progress I've made in this episode. Of course, we started this episode all the way back here. We put in this huge addition and we finished the exterior, and I'm really pleased about that. And then I added some of this detailing up here. So we've accomplished a lot. I'm pretty pleased, like I said, with the progress we've made this week. What I'm going to do in between episodes is actually start moving into the palace. Now, I do have some decisions to make. I need to decide where I want my actual base to go, because of course this is mostly a decorative build. I mean, this is way more room than anybody would ever need, even in a mega base type situation, unless you wanted to, of course, do tons and tons of farms, which is not really my plan for this area. So I need to figure out where I want to move in. Like, for example, where do I want my storage to go? And I'm leaning towards this space up on the 3rd floor. Let me walk up there. With these wonderful, bright, stained glasses. So I think this is going to be the main central room of my base, maybe with kind of a chest monster along this wall, set up in a way that makes it pretty accessible. That's going to be my goal, and I think I'm going to work on that in between episodes so that when we start next time, I can hopefully have a pretty decent-sized chest, kind of chest monster set up that we can use to move everything from the village over here. That's going to be my plan. I'm going to get to working on that, and I hope you have a great week. And I want you to remember, if you're enjoying this video, if you're enjoying this content, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And other than that, I will see you next week.